Hey everyone, Jesse here, Heavy Hammer Bushcraft. Working on a little project today. Kind of something I've been meaning to do for a while and just have not done. And well, I needed to, and I finally got some of the stuff I needed in to do it. So I figured I might as well get it done today. Throw up a little video for it, and probably do a little blog post later on as well. I'm working on a repair kit to take into the bush with me in my bag. I don't see a lot of guys talk about these for bushcraft stuff, but I kind of think they're very important because you never know when something's going to happen. You tear a tent, your pants rip, you got to fix a sock, something silly like that's going to happen eventually. So, putting together a little kit here, and I kind of just wanted to show you guys what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, what I'm going through, what's included in the kit, and all that stuff. I'm going to adjust the camera here so you guys can see what I actually got while I'm doing it. But just got some basic stuff. Some thread, number 36 bank line, synthetic sinew, some toggles I made up for this purpose, for those guys, darning yarn, some Gorilla Tape, some needles, and a couple of little things I want to put in here as well. So yeah, I'm going to adjust the camera, come back and make this up in front of you guys so you guys can see what I'm doing and what the process is and how this kind of works out. Oh, and I got a pouch to put it all in. It's one of my little ditty bags that I made. So, all right. So like I said, this is the basic things that I want to put in this kit. I carry some other stuff too, like fix and wax and stuff like that I can use for other purposes as well, but this is the basics of this kit. And what I've kind of done to start with here, I cut and made some toggles here to wrap everything on, because I don't want to carry, big full spools of stuff if I don't have to. I mean, there's no real advantage to it, and there's quite a bit of disadvantages, I think, because, it's not a lot of weight, but it's weight, and I do try to stay as light as I can. I got a couple different size needles here for different things. Obviously, you don't want to use the same needle for darning that you do for stitching normal stuff. And if you're using sinew to fix anything leather, you need a heavier needle. So that is it is. Obviously some Gorilla Tape here as well. I just bought this little roll actually specifically for this kit. I'm probably going to put this entire roll in the kit though, because it's 30 feet, still it's not a whole lot. I may rewrap it onto something different, I'm not sure yet. But what we're going to do, start with, I'm going to start with the bank line because it's, the heaviest and coarsest. Cut the longest toggle for the bank line because, well, it's the heaviest and thickest stuff. But really all I want to do is I just want to wrap this around the toggle, get a bunch of it on there, get quite a few wraps on there. I mean, you don't want to carry, several hundred feet of this stuff for this purpose. I also have, I do have another roll of this that I keep in my bag anyways for doing guy lines and ridge lines and such like that, prusik knots on a ridge line. So, there's no need to carry a huge bunch of it here, but, you want to carry 20 feet of it probably here because, this stuff is awful handy. And when you're wrapping this stuff and making your little mini spools of it, don't go all the way to the ends of your toggles. Leave a little bit on the end because that way, if you have to, you can grab it like this and spool it off in your little spool. So you want to keep it tight, keep it as compact as you can, and, just kind of keep going the same way with it. It's going to work the same for the sinew and the thread as well. Obviously, those take up a bit less room, and you can get quite a bit more, wrap-wise. So this first and second wrap are always the hardest doing this because you got to keep the tail from coming unwound. But once you get that tail from coming unwound, then it goes quite a bit quicker. Plus, the thicker it gets, the quicker it gets as well, because then you can spin it faster. Again, you don't want to make a whole big, huge roll of this stuff in here. I recommend you keep this stuff in your pack anyways, like I said, for prusik knots and ridge lines and tethers and lashings and stuff like that, because this stuff is absolutely wonderful. The tar on it actually does make it melt rather well, and it can be used as a fire lighting assist. So, but I've got 3, this will be 4th wrap on here. This is probably all I'm going to do for this kit because I don't need a ton of it. And I really, I think this is something that probably should be a little more prominent in a lot of kits because, you're out in the woods. You don't have, you can't exactly be 10 miles out in the woods hiking and doing your thing, break something or tear something, and now you've got to run to Walmart all of a sudden or something to pick up, a new piece of gear because you've broken one or torn one, or, you've got a rip in your tent or something. So these are really pretty simple little things. And when you get done, you just kind of stick it through a loop, pull it tight, and there you go. Ta-da. But I'm going to do that with the sinew and the thread as well, and the darning yarn here. And then we'll come back and kind of get back into this a little more when my cat stops playing with this toy that he never plays with. All right. One thing I did want to mention for the smaller things, the thread and the sinew and the darning yarn, is on the end of your toggles, and I don't know how well you can see that, there is a slit, a little split in the end of that toggle. That's so that when you're done wrapping, you can actually take the tail and tuck it through that, so you can always keep track of where the tail is, and it's not coming unraveled in your kit. So it's kind of a handy thing to do. With the bank line, you don't need to so much do it because, well, it's bank line and it's, big enough to easily see. So, but with the thread, the sinew, and the darning yarn, that's something you definitely want to do. Okay, got everything pretty much wound up here. Got my synthetic sinew, regular thread. Actually, this is upholstery thread. It's a little bit heavier duty than regular thread. Chose OD green because, well, a lot of my gear is green, brown, tan, stuff like that. So the OD will work very well with that. Same with the darning yarn. Darning yarn, I had a little bit of trouble sourcing this locally. What I actually did, I actually asked my mother of all people. Well, yeah, I did. Embroidery floss works just as well as darning yarn for darning yarn. So that's what this is. Obviously the bank line. Now the needles, the last thing you want is to get out and have to repair something and get all your stuff out and find that you can't find your needles. So tape my needles up in a piece of Gorilla Tape, just so they don't go anywhere. That way I know where they are, and I don't reach into the bag and accidentally stab myself in the finger. Never a good thing. You don't want a sewing needle driven under your fingernail. Little chunk of beeswax, little chunk of fixing wax. I decided I'm going to add, I got 4 small buttons here. Those are actually the same kind of buttons that would be on any of my flannel shirts, or most flannel shirts really. So I figure it's probably a good idea to keep a couple of those around. And I've got 2 larger buttons in case I lose a button off my pants or something like that. Just good ideas to have around. Like I said, this is just kind of a general repair kit for keeping up on your stuff. So kind of is what it is right there. That's the general gist of the little repair kit I wanted to do. I did choose a larger pouch for it. This is another one of those Samuel leather pouches that I made. This one is 8 by 6. Because I do have this, and I can pick up, other materials along the way and stuff, whatever I need. But that's the basics of the little repair kit I wanted to do. And well, I may add a couple of the small things. I've got long hair, so I may add a couple of hair ties to it just in case. I try to keep a few in my bag anyways. But for the most part, I think that's got me pretty well covered. I mean, I can seal a tent if I need to. I can stitch leather. I can stitch darn socks, or darn up a hole in my pack if I have to. Carry an Alice pack, so it's kind of the go-to method to fix them. I've got some regular thread in case I need to stitch something. Buttons in case I need to fix something like that. Needles for using all of the above. And, well, if all else fails, duck it, right? I mean, so like I said, I'll probably add some hair ties to it. And as I add gear, I may add other things to it. If I add new gear, I may add, if I need something specific that might need repair on it, I may add something like that. But for the most part, that's what it is. Kind of consider it a pretty important piece of gear because, you're out in the wilderness. You never know, you're going to slip and fall on a rock and tear the crotch out of your pants. And the last thing you want to be doing is walking around with, torn out crotch for the next week or however long you're out in the bush. It'd be nice to be able to stitch that up and, at least preserve some of your dignity. Not that many people have that anymore, but that's neither here nor there. So most of the stuff, the only thing here that's not available commercially is the fix and wax, which is something I made. Did a video on it, I believe. I did a blog post on it as well. So the fix and wax is available, then it can be made. There's a bunch of other recipes out there for it as well. You don't have to just use mine. This in conjunction with other stuff in my kit, the full roll of bank line that I keep with me, obviously my knife, my Leatherman, or not my Leatherman, my Swiss Army knife with a leather all on it, will pretty much repair everything that I have for gear. For the most part, I don't see any issue with that. So that's a good thing. It's good to be able to fix your stuff out in the middle of the wilderness if you need to. I mean, you can't really bushcraft with busted gear. And part of, one of the biggest things in bushcraft to me has always been maintaining your gear, keeping your knives sharp, your axes sharp, everything rust free, keeping, your tent in good shape, your tarp in good shape. These are all really important things, because without these things, you're not really having a good time and you're not smoothing it in the woods, as Nessmuk would say. So, yeah, that's what I got for you this time around. Probably going to do another video pretty soon. I know I took a little longer this time than I wanted to. I got tied up with some stuff last weekend and, well, wound up not being able to do one. So I did get the blog post out, I think it was last weekend or earlier this week, on the blog. So head on over and check that out if you like. Leave some comments on there. Tell me what I'm doing. Let me know if I'm doing all right at least. So yeah, that's all I got for right now. Anyways, we'll see you guys out in the woods.